In the endless silence of the cosmos, a warning went unheeded. A young species, barely stepping into faster-than-light travel, was dismissed as primitive. But what followed changed the destiny of the galaxy forever. From humble colonists to reluctant warriors, humans were about to prove their true nature. In the vast chambers of the Galactic Council, beings of crystal, gas, and light debated the rise of a new species. Their name, humanity. To some, they were irrelevant. To others, dangerous. The High Counselor, Zixa, a being of pure energy, saw what the others refused to. She warned them, "These creatures are fast, adaptable, capable of kindness and cruelty in equal measure." But her words were met with skepticism and dismissal. The Council, ancient and complacent, wavered. One empire in particular, the Zarconi, saw humanity not as a peer, but as an opportunity for easy conquest. Far from the politics of the galaxy's core, humanity was building a new home. On New Eden, settlers had created a paradise. Beautiful terraformed valleys stretched beneath lavender skies. Colonists farmed strange new crops. Children laughed and played in fields of alien flowers, and scientists studied the planet's unique ecosystem. Engineers maintained the massive atmospheric processors that made it all possible. It was a testament to human hope and ingenuity. But this profound calm was only the silence before the storm. The first sign of trouble was a flicker on a long-range scanner, then another, then hundreds. In the colony's command center, a young officer named Marcus Chen burst through the doors, his face pale. "An armada," he stammered. "Unknown, massive, and closing fast." Governor Rise, a woman whose calm demeanor hid a will of iron, stared at the unfolding tactical display. The incoming fleet dwarfed their small defense force. She knew the colony couldn't win a direct fight, but she also knew her people. They could survive. Then the sky burned. Massive, insectoid Zarconi warships ripped through the clouds, their brutalist designs a stark contrast to the beauty of New Eden. Beams of coherent energy lanced down, shredding the colony's meager defenses in seconds. Orbital platforms became fiery bouquets against the darkening sky. On the ground, chaos erupted. Volunteer fighters, farmers, mechanics, and scientists who had never held a weapon scrambled into their hastily converted atmospheric craft. They were hopelessly outmatched, but they fought with a ferocity that stunned the Zarconi invaders. Captain Wallace, a veteran pilot in command of the colony's tiny fighter wing, made his final desperate run, ramming his small ship directly into an enemy landing craft in a spectacular blaze of sacrificial fire. As the settlement of Hope's Landing fell, the colonists fled. They retreated into the planet's deep, sprawling cave systems, natural shelters they had once mapped for scientific study. Down in the darkness, a biologist named Dr. Elena Sato became their unlikely leader. She held the terrified and the wounded together, her voice a beacon of calm amidst the panic. She promised them not victory, but endurance. They would hold out. They would survive. Above ground, the Zarconi celebrated. Their initial assault was a staggering success. They thought the battle was over. They thought their victory was certain. They had no idea they had just started a war they could never win. Back in the Galactic Council, news of the attack on New Eden arrived like a shockwave. Zixa's silhouette seemed to flicker with rage. "I warned you," her voice echoed, no longer a plea but an accusation. "You dismissed them. Now you will see the consequences." The other council members shifted uncomfortably. The Zarconi ambassador sneered, broadcasting images of the burning colony. "They are broken," he declared, "a lesson for any upstart species who dares to reach for the stars." He didn't see the flicker of unease in the eyes of his fellow diplomats. He didn't understand the precedent he had just set. The Zarconi had underestimated not just human resolve, but human ingenuity. In the weeks that followed the initial attack, the survivors on New Eden didn't just hide. They adapted. Led by Dr. Sato, they used their knowledge of the planet's biology and geology to turn the caves into a fortress. They learned to live off the strange phosphorescent fungi, repurposed mining equipment into crude weapons, and used the planet's complex magnetic fields to mask their heat signatures from Zarconi scans. They became ghosts, striking from the shadows, sabotaging landing zones, and disappearing back into the Earth. The Zarconi ground commander, a hulking warrior named Krell, grew increasingly frustrated. His technologically superior forces were being bled dry by an enemy they couldn't find. He had expected a swift pacification, not a grueling insurgency. His reports back to the Zarconi homeworld became more and more agitated. He demanded more troops, more orbital bombardments, anything to crush the infuriating resistance. He didn't realize he was playing directly into humanity's hands, because the attack on New Eden had not gone unnoticed. News traveled fast along the fledgling human hyperspace lanes. The story of the unprovoked slaughter and the heroic resistance spread like wildfire. On Earth and across a dozen other young colonies, shock turned to grief, and grief turned to a cold, unifying rage. For the first time in its scattered history, humanity was united by a single purpose. The fragmented governments and corporations set aside their squabbles. Fleets were mobilized. Factories that once built colony ships were retooled to produce warships. An entire species, from the shipyards of Mars to the asteroid mines of the Belt, prepared for total war. The Zarconi were about to learn a lesson that would be etched into galactic history. Never corner a species that has nothing left to lose. The first human counterattack wasn't a fleet action. It was a single, heavily modified science vessel, the Odyssey. Under the command of the newly promoted Admiral Marcus Chen, it jumped into the New Eden system, not to fight, but to deliver a message. The ship broadcast a simple repeating signal on all frequencies, a coded data burst. On the surface, in the deepest caves, Dr. Sato's makeshift communicators lit up. It was a rescue plan, an evacuation protocol. Hope. But the real target of the Odyssey's broadcast wasn't the colonists. It was the Zarconi. The signal was a Trojan horse. It carried a tailored virus designed by Earth's best minds that targeted the Zarconi's highly centralized command and control network. The moment the Zarconi fleet tried to decode the transmission, the virus spread. Their navigation went haywire. Their communications devolved into static. Their weapon systems locked up. For a precious few minutes, the entire Zarconi armada in orbit was blind and helpless. And that's when the real human fleet arrived. Dozens of ships, then hundreds, poured out of hyperspace. They weren't elegant like the ships of the elder races, or brutalist like the Zarconi vessels. They were pragmatic, functional, and built for one thing: to fight. The Battle of New Eden, as it would come to be known, was not a battle. It was an extermination. The human fleet, coordinated and furious, tore through the crippled Zarconi armada. On the ground, Krell watched in horror as his orbital support vanished in flashes of light. Then he received one last garbled message from his high command before all communications went dead. It wasn't an order or a warning. It was a single image, a human warship, the Vengeance, jumping into orbit around the Zarconi homeworld. The humans hadn't just come to save their colony. They had come to end the war, permanently. The fate of the Zarconi Empire was sealed in that moment. Their hubris had led them to awaken a sleeping giant. Humanity, the young, underestimated species, had shown the galaxy its true nature. They were not just survivors. They were not just warriors. They were conquerors. And the galaxy, which had once dismissed them, would now watch in terrified silence as a new power rose from the ashes of New Eden, ready to claim its place among the stars. The age of humanity had begun. Thank you so much for watching this epic tale unfold. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more sagas from the far reaches of space, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update from the frontier. We'll see you in the next one. For centuries, we gazed at the stars, wondering if we were alone. We sent out probes, whispered messages into the cosmic void, and dreamed of friendly first contact. We colonized new worlds like New Eden, believing our greatest challenge was the harshness of space itself. Then the Zarconi Empire arrived. They saw us as nothing more than primitives, a quaint infestation on a world they desired. Their message was simple: surrender or be exterminated. They expected us to crumble, to beg for mercy. They were wrong. The distress call from New Eden screamed across the light years, a desperate plea from a world on the brink. On Earth, the news landed like a thunderclap. In the grand halls of Geneva, holograms flickered, displaying the terrifying scale of the Zarconi fleet. Panic began to set in. Leaders gathered, their faces etched with fear. Some trembled, advocating for surrender, for appeasement. But others roared. Humanity, a species so often fractured by petty squabbles and ancient rivalries, found a terrifying, singular purpose: survival. From the global podium, President Kruma's voice rang out, a beacon of defiance in the encroaching darkness. We have been tested by fire, by famine, by our own follies. We have stumbled and fallen, but we have always gotten back up. Today, a shadow falls from the stars. They demand our homes, our future, our very right to exist. They believe us to be weak. But I say to them, and to you, we will not bow. We will not break. We will show them what humans are made of. A wave of resolve washed over the planet. The debate was over. The choice was made. Humanity would fight. Almost overnight, the entire human sphere transformed into a war machine. The sleeping giant, content in its celestial cradle, awoke with a furious roar. The sprawling shipyards of Mars, once building colony ships and freighters, began churning out warships at an impossible rate. Factories on Luna and Earth, dormant for generations, roared back to life, their assembly lines spitting out munitions and armor plating. Above the gas giants, the colossal Arcturus defense platform, a relic of a bygone era of internal conflict, hummed with newfound power, its massive cannons calibrating to interstellar targets. And the people. They answered the call. In every city, on every colony, recruitment halls were flooded. Young men and women, who had known only peace, lined up for hours, their eyes burning with a mixture of fear and fierce determination. Farmers, engineers, artists, and students, they came from all walks of life, ready to trade their tools for pulse rifles, their dreams of a quiet future for a chance to fight for one. Within weeks, a fleet unlike any humanity had ever built, forged in desperation and crewed by unyielding spirit, rose from our solar system and burned a path toward New Eden. The orbit of New Eden was a spectacle of cosmic violence. The Zarconi fleet, a vast and orderly armada of obsidian warships, hung in space like a death sentence. Opposite them, the human fleet, a hodgepodge of new and retrofitted ships, looked hopelessly outmatched. But as the first shots were fired, the galaxy's turning point began. Laser fire, blindingly bright, crisscrossed the void. Explosions bloomed like silent, deadly flowers, turning masterpieces of engineering into expanding fields of shrapnel and debris. This was it. Here, at New Eden, humanity engaged a force far larger, far older, and by all logic, far stronger. The Zarconi commanders watched from their pristine bridge decks, confident in their millennia of tactical doctrine. They expected predictable patterns, textbook naval combat. What they got was pure, unadulterated human chaos. Our fighters didn't fly in neat formations. They weaved through enemy fire like angry hornets, their pilots pulling off maneuvers that defied gravitational logic and personal safety. Captains on the bridge weren't stoic strategists. They were shouting, improvising, trusting their gut instincts over computer simulations. From the command ship, Admiral Jiao, cool under unimaginable pressure, gave, and then it fired. From the heart of the human flagship, a weapon born of desperate genius and unthinkable physics, a blinding beam of pure energy lanced across the darkness. It wasn't a laser or a plasma bolt. It was something new, something that ripped a hole in space-time itself. It struck the lead Zarconi dreadnought, and the colossal ship, a vessel that had subjugated a dozen star systems, didn't just explode. It vanished. The beam sliced through two more flagships behind it, passing through them as if they were made of paper. In a handful of terrifying seconds, half of the Zarconi Vanguard fleet was reduced to incandescent ash. The primitives had just cracked open the impossible. Down on the besieged planet, huddled in caves and makeshift shelters, the colonists of New Eden watched the heavens. As the enemy fleet began to break, a cheer rose from the darkness, a raw, primal sound of disbelief and triumph, tears of joy streaming down faces caked in dirt and fear. The invaders fled. The sight of their mightiest ships being unmade by an unknown force shattered their morale. The great Zarconi Empire, which had never known a true defeat, turned and ran. Humanity had been tested in the crucible of interstellar war, and had emerged as tempered steel. The news of the victory at New Eden sent shockwaves across the galaxy. In the hallowed chambers of the Galactic Council, where humanity had long been a topic of mild anthropological curiosity, alien delegates murmured in awe and disbelief. The quaint colonists from the Sol system were no longer a footnote. They were conquerors of destiny. The myth of Zarconi invincibility was broken, and across their vast empire, subjugated races, inspired by humanity's stand, began to rebel. The throne of the Zarconi Emperor, once thought unshakable, was cracked. In the aftermath, a new era was born from the ashes of war. On New Eden, the work of rebuilding began. The caves that had served as shelters were reverently turned into memorials, their walls inscribed with the names of the fallen. Under alien skies, a new generation of children ran and played, their laughter a testament to the sacrifice that had secured their freedom. New Eden rose from its ruins, not as a symbol of victimhood, but as a beacon of resilience. Humanity had earned its seat among the stars, not as conquerors seeking dominion, but as partners in a new galactic future, a future they had helped to forge. Standing on a newly constructed balcony overlooking a valley reborn, Elena Sato and Marcus, Two survivors who had fought on the front lines watched the unfamiliar constellations turn. They and all of humanity had been underestimated, dismissed, ignored, and yet their spirit, that stubborn, resilient, defiant spark, had not only saved them, but had fundamentally reshaped the galaxy. This was the day the galaxy finally discovered the truth, that when pushed to the absolute brink, humans don't just survive, they rise, and they conquer. The war was over, but for humanity, the story had only just begun. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story of humanity's defiance, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tales from across the cosmos. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep looking up.